Oh, taxi vlog 556, I think. Yeah. Wanted to make of this vlog before, but I was just too put off. I was really put off. You see, I had enough of this beard of mine. Hey, watch out! You know, come on, why don't you just take over? Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I had enough of this beard. And I just cut it off. And since I've taken the frigging beard off, I've been getting a lot of flack. Yeah, I know. What's a beard? Well, I'll tell you what a beard is. It was who I was, and I went and cut it off. Yeah. And now, it makes me look like a kid. Well, almost. Frigging kid. Anyway, enough for that. I was driving along the other day. Well, actually yesterday. It was a good night. Come on. Move on. Yeah. You know, be careful what you're doing there. Yeah, so I was driving along the other day. And you know, I've talked about this bar where we go sometimes. Well, actually, I don't go there, but I pick a lot of people up there. You know, it's that strip joint. Yeah, I've talked about it a lot, I know. But it's really getting to me. Because everybody seems to want to go there now. Mind you, it's good business. But I had the van the other day, and there's these two guys got in, and I was really put off because one of them said to me, well, I'd like to go on 34th and Main. I said, there isn't any 34th and Main. I said, of course there is. Well, I said, there isn't any 34th and Main. I've been driving taxi for like 55 years now, and I know there's no 34th and Main. Well, he kept on going, and he said, well, yes, there is. And I said, well, okay, then. If you know where it is, you bring me to it. So he starts taking me along, and I tell him, you know, you're going to have to pay for this. No problem. I got loads of cash. And the guy next to him, he was just burping along, and I thought, you know, I hope he just doesn't barf in the back. And I asked him, you know, how he was. And he was kind of quiet. Anyway. So we're going along, and he's telling me how to get to 34th and Main, which, of course, didn't exist. And then at one point, he said, where are you going? And I said, well, I'm just following your instructions. He said, well, I can't find 34th and Main. Well, I told him, I said, well, there isn't a 34th and Main. I could have told you that from the beginning, but, I mean, you're going to have to pay for this. I said, I don't know if I want to. He says, you've been driving around in circles trying to get me lost, aren't you? Well, I said, no. I haven't. And then he asked me, he says, well, I tell you there's a 34th and Main in Vancouver. Well, I looked at this guy and I said, buddy, you're not in Vancouver. Then he looked at me and said, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm not in Vancouver. I said, there isn't a 34th and Main here, is there? And I said, no, there isn't. I've been telling you that for a long time. Well, why didn't you be more forceful? I said, it's not my job. I'm not a psychologist here. I'm just a taxi driver. Well, he looked at me and he said, okay, well, he said, I'm going to get off here then. Well, I said, you're in the middle of nowhere. I said, I can't pay anymore. Well, I said, you can always tell me what you've got and you can pay me from that. Well, he took out $5, and the fare was like $20. He said, well, I'll pay the rest on Interact. You know, I mean, like, I hate that Interact. Well, that was it. I think I've had it. I'm going to go park somewhere. There's not much customers tonight. I'm going to look at your vids, do a bit of YouTubing, maybe sleep a bit. That was it. That was Taxi Vlog 556, I think.